This train is probably one of my favourite trains on the layout. I do like Class 37s and the HEEEERS wagons in this livery are great, even though I have got a mixed livery to a certain degree, but I've got a grand total of 32 of these, and I've only just added another 3 to them as well at the back, as you can see. But I can't resist buying these every time I see them. You know, second hand, I pick a few up, and I need to stop doing it because I've now got a rake that stretches from one end of the loft to the other, and it's getting a bit beyond realistic, really. But yeah, I can't resist picking these up. It's definitely got to be my favourite wagon. I suppose being bright red, I remember it as a kid as well, waiting at level crossings, watching these go past. And as for favourite parts of the layout, I reckon on the whole this is probably my favourite part of the layout. I did enjoy making the embankment, and really like the way it came out. Plus I like all the buildings in the background, the engine maintenance shed, and just the way it sits in the scenery, really. So this is one of my favourite areas, and you probably notice I do film a lot of my stuff around this area. It's not to say that some of the other areas I've made and landscaped in the loft are not to my liking, but this has just come out so well. And there's another plane going over. Everybody's going on holiday at the moment. The canal was an interesting project to make as well. I did quite like making the canal and the surrounding area, and especially that bridge that featured in a couple of my updates that don't go anywhere. But the way all the landscape sits here, I've been very pleased with. This area also come out well in my opinion as well, but it's just an extension really of the embankment that I built, and I find this quite pleasing to the eye, and I've got no plans to change anything in a major sort of way, just continuing to add more detail here and there when I think of it. But this has definitely got to be one of my favourite areas. Another part of the layout that's fast becoming one of my sort of more favourite parts is this part of the station. I quite like the way this has come out, and with a bit more detailing and stuff. I think this could become one of the best parts of the layout as well. I do like this station building, and it does look somewhat similar to stations nearby me, and I'm definitely modelling the footbridge and will be improving on that in the future, as a station very close to me has got a footbridge leading from the station very much like this. Probably one of my most favourite locos on the layout is my a Cura scale class 55 Deltic. I must do something about the speaker vibration, because that does spoil it. Well, that was a bit faster than I expected. Another favourite of mine is the Class 90 Royal Mail liveried penny black I've got. It's quite novel with the pantograph that goes up and down, and I've got nothing like this on the layout, even though I've got a couple of other electric trains. This one with a pantograph that goes up and down is probably a bit of overindulgence, but I do like it, and goes well on the layout. But you do have to watch the pantograph on the layout, you know, where you take it, because I've got several tunnels, and I have to be careful if I run it on the lower loop. Even though there is a method for running it with the pantograph down, which I'm just about to do. So there's no worries of it bashing into tunnel entrances. But yeah, another one of my favourite trains. The locos, but train as well actually. So the Royal Mail trains, another asset to my layout. Got a few more coaches I need to weather as well, including the one passing now. But that's a good train all round. I happened to be talking to my wife about making this little special update, and I was going to talk about my favourites on the layout, and she happened to say what her favourite was, and because she does take a bit of an interest in my hobby, she does come with me to toy fairs and other events, but she doesn't get involved with the actual layout as such. But she did like my effort making this train, my sort of homemade electrification train. She seems to think this is one of the best, and this is her favourite. So she said. I must admit I had a bit of fun making this, and still enjoy getting this out and running it. I'm also very fond of my HST sets, which I've got about 4 sets of. do complement my layout really nicely, and I do love running them. And what's more, no layout in the 1980s would be complete without sets of HSTs running through it. When it comes to diesel multiples, the one train I shouldn't forget though is the Blue Pullman. This has always been one of my favourites, and one of my ambitions as a child to actually buy one of these one day, as I couldn't afford the Triang one when I was a little boy like. But this is my pride and joy, and I do love getting this out on the layout every so often. Probably my favourite carriages are these two buffet cars. One's a nightcap bar and the other one is a Pullman restaurant car, and these look rather nice with table lamps that light and just look very good when you encompass them in a nice rake of grey and blue British Rail. So they're probably my favourite coaches on the layout. Up until a few years ago, I'd always run just DC, and I'd been buying old Lima and Hornby and stuff, and this was the loco, this class 40, that changed everything. It came with the ability to be changed into DCC, and it got me curious. It made me think I wanted to find out more about DCC, and this started the ball rolling, you might say, and has cost me a fortune ever since. So I fitted this with a DCC chip, and I probably haven't looked back since. I've still got loads of old Lima and Hornby that I need to probably sell off one day, but I've now got a massive fleet of DCC fitted locos, so many that I've now stopped counting, and a bit too frightened to tell the wife how many there is anyway. Quick pan around will give you some sort of idea, as over the years they have been building up. Not to mention a few more stashed away in drawers, but yeah, a rather large growing fleet. But all these locos do provide a great deal of fun, and interest, and allows me to vary what I run on the layout to hopefully entertain you and get the enjoyment out of it myself as well. It can be somewhat noisy filming up in the loft. I suppose it would be the same if you were in a shed as well, because we do get planes go over as we're on the flight path to Stansted, and this time of year there's a lot of holiday traffic, plus we're not on a main road, but we do get loud cars go past and people talking and dogs barking and you name it, ice cream men going past, and police cars, and it does get a little bit tedious trying to film sometimes, and sometimes you just give up and leave it in, as you've probably noticed in some of my updates, that there's some peculiar noises in the background sometimes, but it's very hard to sort of film up here sometimes, and unless it's you're filming through the middle of the night or something and it's reasonably quiet. But it's just one of the hazards of having a loft layout, I suppose, and trying to film it. My favourite tool for working on the layout has got to be my gas soldering iron. It's so handy and takes minutes to heat up and minutes to do the job, really, rather than getting out an electric soldering iron. So that's one of my best assets when it comes to the tools I use on the layout. Probably one of the best bargains I've ever got for the layout is this Class 33 in British Rail Blue, and I picked this up for £20 just because the bogies were, well, one of the bogies was missing, and it cost me a little bit to replace them, as I've mentioned in the previous update. But yeah, this has got to be the bargain of the century for me. I've probably mentioned it in the past, I'm sure I have, that my system is a Dynamis Ultima. It's a bit restrictive, but I do like it, and I do like a tactile controller. I do need to upgrade, because the most I can have on this, most number of locos I can have is 30, even though the manual said at one time when you got it, it had space for 40. But there's a mistake in the manuals as they upgraded some of the other options on the unit. It took up the space for extra locos, so it's a real nuisance sometimes, and quite a few of my locos are just guests. The ones in the heritage yard are just a guest, and that means that they all have got the number 3, and I can only have one of them on at any one time, as they're all moved together, obviously, which does make things a bit limited. In the future I do hope to upgrade to something else, but I'm totally undecided at the moment, especially with new systems coming out like Hornby's Bluetooth sort of technology. I don't know where that's going to go, and I'm going to have a go at sort of seeing what it's like when I actually can use it on an Android app. But it makes me sort of wary of buying any other system at the moment. I find this very versatile and very easy to use, so despite its setbacks at the moment, it does me proud, really. My favourite bit of landscaping has definitely got to be along here with this embankment I made. I really enjoyed making it, and it took some time, and I didn't know where it was going to go and end up, but it surprised me how well this come out, and every time I look at this part of the layout I'm so pleased with it. I suppose the favourite way I like to film the layout is to actually portray it in real life if I can, which sometimes seems a little bit silly because I'm talking about some of the figures on the layout as if they're real figures and telling a story, but I think that's what we're all trying to achieve, is actually bring our layouts to life. And even though that's never going to be possible, it's good to sort of portray it like that, you might say, and then you sort of start thinking and sort of come up with new ideas along those sort of lines, trying to imagine what it would be like in real life, as well as studying real life, that is, and then turning it into a model form. I think what makes a good modeller is somebody who's got a keen eye and is good at observing the real thing and turning it into model form. So that's what I try and do, really, and I hope to improve with every bit of studying I do, really. It's really interesting studying the real thing and then trying to achieve it in miniature, and it's very rewarding when it does come close to the real thing. I guess there's no better endorsement than one of your relatives, possibly an older relative, says to you, "You're joking, that's the real thing, that's not a model," and you have to sort of struggle to convince them that it is a model and it's in your loft. And I've had that on a couple of occasions, and that really does make you feel that you're on the right path, you might say, and it's very pleasing, really, somewhat funny as well. My favourite sound fitted loco is this Class 37 rail freight. It's fitted with a Lock Sound 5 chip with Lego Man Biffo's sound on the chip, and I think it's a really good sound locomotive, and to be honest, it's what got me into sound, because before that I wasn't really bothered, and I thought, you know, it's an extravagance that you didn't really need to do. But the sound on this is, on my layout, definitely the best and second to none. It's an excellent sound that really matches the loco. And this loco now brings us to a close. Thanks very much for helping me achieve 2,000 subscribers to the channel. I'm amazed that so many people are interested in watching me build my layout, and it is really appreciated. I do enjoy working on the layout and also filming it, but it does take quite a bit of work doing both at once, but it makes it worthwhile when so many people are getting enjoyment out of it as well as me. So thanks again for helping me achieve this figure. Bye for now. See you again soon.